watched something like a movie or something similar to that, and something very specific happens, and you're not really understanding what the purpose of it was, what's going on, and so at the end of it, you look it up online, like, what was the point of this? I don't really understand what's going on, and no one is asking the same question, so you're wondering if you're just, like, stupid, and then... It's such a complicated situation. So this was how I felt about the Antifragile music video for the longest time, because of the part where the potato falls from the sky into Eunchae's hand, and it felt very intentional, but I didn't understand what was going on, and no one else was asking, so it was very frustrating. And I've thought about it in the frame of reference of, like, the French term for potato is pomme de terre, apple of the earth. And this was where I should have realized what was going on, but I didn't realize until recently. It was one of those situations where you don't get it at all, and then suddenly something very specific clicks into place, and you get it. You just understand completely. So, stick with me now. Instead of an apple from the earth, this is a potato from the sky. What is the sky symbolic of? Usually God. If you're looking up, you're supposed to be speaking to God. So it's potato from God, and it not being an apple is very important. There are a lot of specific implications of an apple. Knowledge, yes, but also sin, temptation. So getting this potato would kind of make it make sense how they act throughout the music video. Like, they're very unaware of what is going on, in the same way Adam and Eve were very unaware of, like, even just the fact that they were naked. You know, they eat the apple and suddenly they're like, oh my god, what is going on? This doesn't sound important, but I think that it's actually very far-reaching when you think about things like the idea of abandonment, which is a big idea in existentialism. There is a belief that you have been abandoned by a god, whether or not a god exists. You've been abandoned by them, and as such, you have this condemnation of freedom. Basically, you are free to do whatever you want. You have free will, but you are responsible for everything that you do. You are responsible for how that shapes you. You are responsible for how that shapes humanity. There's a big emphasis on responsibility to yourself and others. There's also just the idea of living in good faith versus living in bad faith. Living in good faith would mean living your life not in accordance to other people's beliefs. Bad faith, you're living, how other people... You're letting other people influence you, rather. So, for example, if I'm living my life as a regular part of society, I'm living in bad faith. If I live according to a completely different set of beliefs, it's kind of impossible to live in good faith, because if you think about existentialism, if you try to live according to existentialism, you're inherently not living in good faith, because you're living in accordance with other people's ideas. So it's kind of very difficult to give an example of living in good faith, because it's not really possible. But there's also, with that, the fact that Eunchae specifically got the potato. If you're unfamiliar with Sserafim, fear nots tend to call her a smile potato, like, the French fry that's in a smiley face. So it feels very specific that she is the one getting this potato, and it's sort of reflective of herself. So even though it's coming from a god, she is living in accordance. Like, this is something that is clearly defining her, and so she's not really living in good faith. She's living in bad faith, despite the fact that this is a direct, quote-unquote, gift from a god. It's a very intricate way of looking at things, and the music video in general is just very interesting. Just the idea of how things affect your essence and what it means to interfere with it. We're going to get into the music video as a whole, as well as the lyrics. I know I've analyzed the lyrics before. we're going to do it again. In my opinion, you're never done analyzing anything. You can always, things are different when you're different. So there's still a lot to talk about. And yeah, I guess we should just get into that. But one thing I do want to mention really quickly is, please let me know if these unscripted videos are okay. Someone said that they actually like the way my videos sound, so I'm not sure if I should keep up with the scripted videos or if I should go off like I am right now. I'm a little nervous, but I hope it'll go away eventually. I just don't want to sound dead in my videos, so please let me know what your preference is. But in going into the video as a whole, it feels very important that they're always doing things with their hands, kind of like I was talking about Somi's videos. But specifically, I feel like in this case, it matters what hands symbolize, what hands can do. They can grasp things, they can take action. I think that's very important in this scenario. The girls kind of have like a blunted affect, but it's different from something like Twice's debut. Like it was a cheerleader and zombie concept. The girls were like not bothered by the fact that they were surrounded by zombies, and they were just completely unaffected, whereas the members of Sserafim are involved in what is going on, but it doesn't seem like they have clear intentions. Chaewon sets on a table this angel statue, and she has this very unimpressed look. And there are also scenes like in water. They're in the rain, they're smiling and dancing. There's part where Yunjin splashes water, and it does kind of remind me, like, this is an apocalypse themed music video, obviously, so it does remind me of like the idea of the flood. And yes, there is no actual flood happening, but the water is sort of symbolic of the flood, and they don't seem bothered by it at all. In fact, it seems to be something that they're embracing. Also in the music video, there are parts with like different quality cameras, which doesn't sound important, but it kind of does portray how the members of the Sserafim and the people surrounding them that are panicking are sort of living on different planes of life. There are parts with like regards to eyes, Chaewon peeking her eyes over her sunglasses, Yunjin doing eyeliner, Sakura putting on these clear glasses when she's playing her game. There is this kind of question of, what do they know? What are they aware of? Because eyes are kind of symbolic, especially if they're impaired. They tend to be symbolic of some kind of knowledge. So I do wonder what they do actually know, if this is just a ruse, or if just anything about their intentions. I think you could go in a million different ways. I think if a bunch of people watched this video in this context, they might have a million different theories. There's also the part with the canned goods falling, something very symbolic of humanity. The angel statue is destroyed. Chaewon, of course, has hers that is unaffected, like I said, but again, they're just different planes of existence. Chaewon's plane seems unaffected in ways that the rest of society's is not. There's also the part with Eunchae on a car. It's very interesting. Eunchae is on a car, I think during her line when she's talking about being majestic like a lion. But then later there's a scene where she's in a car, and she's not the one driving. She's in a passenger seat, and she is, I think she might be in the back seat as well. But her window's open, she has her arm on the side of the car, and she's just kind of existing, and it makes me wonder, like, is she being driven? Like, she is being driven by someone, but what are the existential implications of that? What was I looking at? I was looking at something. I think it was a Sserafim title, no, it wasn't, it was an IZ*ONE title track, because I'm making a video on those lyrics. It says, like, if you're drawn, be driven by it. That's the line. I just don't remember what specific song it was. I want to say it was Violetta, but I could be wrong. I'll stay tuned to see the IZ*ONE versus Kep1er video. That's going to be interesting. But, so there is the implications of being driven, what that means for her as a person trying to live in good or bad faith, or just a person living, because, I mean, are they trying to do anything specific? Are they just enjoying themselves? That kind of seems to be the case, which, you know, what was the point of humanity before original sin? That's kind of always been a question that we don't talk about, but it's one I have. There's also Sakura playing her game versus she actually starts driving. I think that's pretty straightforward. Yunjin is specifically, she is not playing her guitar. Like I said, they're doing a lot of things with their hands. She is not playing her guitar, but she's holding her guitar. And it is interesting that we don't see it actually being played, but it's also important to think that this is an instrument that would need to be tuned, and obviously they are not quote-unquote tuned in the same way that the rest of humanity seems to be tuned. We also have Kazuha stretching, but she doesn't do actual ballet. She has the one leg move, but it's kind of, it comes after the lovey, 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 WWW part, and when they play that, they plug something in, and that feels like it's supposed to signal a change in perspective, because then we see Yunjin singing into her mic, Sakura driving, like I was saying, Kazuha doing her leg lift, Chaewon making an explosion. I believe that's also before Eunchae is in the car. I believe it's Eunchae who is like eating this earth toy. It's just a lot of interesting imagery happening all at once. You see them dancing in front of singed buildings, and there are all of these meteors, even though only one was being reported, and it's just kind of hell, but they're unaffected. Even when something literally comes to destroy the earth without, I'm not intending to do so, but like maybe that is important. It's something without intention, and as a result they are able to come out of it unscathed. I don't know. I wouldn't say I know much about music videos, but I do think I know a fair amount about writing. And we've obviously, well, maybe not obviously, I have analyzed Antifragile's lyrics before. I did reference those annotations, but I don't think you're ever done analyzing something, and I have come up with new annotations, so we're going to be talking about those, especially with the new context of the music video affecting my perspective. We have Antifragile, fragile, and then eventually it's antifragile. There are different implications when it's one word versus two words. I mean, originally it's two words that are broken up individually, and when it's broken up into two words, it's kind of like anti-human. You know, humans are fragile. Whereas when it's turned into one word, it's kind of like a new noun. It's like a title not in the same way that Antifragile is literally the title, but like it's a title for a person. Riding over the trail of thorns, you made me boost up. It's this dependent clause describing something physically dangerous versus this more game-like perspective. A party packed with lies, they don't even burn. A party packed with lies isn't even a clause, and they're also talking about this physical quality, but they're dismissing it. So much talk behind my back, rivals I never knew I had. They'll pray for the day I'm falling onto their hands. I'm a jump in. Yes, give me that. There's separation, behind my back versus onto their hands. I'm a jump in, marking progress and active desire. Walk like a majestic lion. There's a degree of separation again, with it being more of a simile than, for example, like swan in Secret Story of the Swan. There is a degree of separation with a an article, there is a degree of separation with it actually being a simile and describing something abstract. Eyes glinting with so much desire. There's a lot of specificity, intention, and quality. Pour more gasoline on fire, fly again, rising through the flames. There is a lot of specificity and going ham and opportunity, and all of this is being brought into real life. Don't forget my point shoes I left behind. What more must be said? Don't underestimate the path I've walked. It's very simple, but kind of there is a bit of focus on left behind, making me think maybe this is the road less traveled, and that speaks for itself. I go to ride till I die. It's like it has to be confirmed on both of the planes I'm talking about in the music video. The chorus is very interesting. It's kind of separate quadrants, talking about potential versus attainment. It starts with "I'll climb higher," and the "I'll" is very important. If there was no will, there would be no predicate otherwise, and the word "will" is kind of emphasizing this reaffirmed focus that they have. And with the lines "Top of the world I itched for, no biggie if I were to fall, I'm anti-fragile." They're, very in the moment, very involved, directly naming what they are actually intending to do, kind of like a mantra. Then we skip to verse 2, lovey, 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 www, finding me however you'd like. There's an allusion to peace with the dove. And it's a question of, do you fall under the acceptance of whoever you are presenting this love, this dove to? I don't know what to say. I can't feel it. It kind of suggests that this is happening before the apple has been eaten. They are not aware. They're not aware enough of everything going on in order to describe it. Besides their inability, their incapability. Fervent attention, welcome. Cute jealousy, go ahead. String puppets, no thanks. With my song, I'll build my future. Yes, give me that. There's a change happening here. They're kind of experiencing life more fully. And then eventually when we go when we go over to the bridge, it's kind of just all about temptation. We can break it, baby. Rock it, twist it, lock it, baby. You're tempting this baby. You're trying to act not in accordance with this other person, but you are being influenced, and it's all about destruction. And I think that kind of fits in with the idea of temptation being involved with sin. And that's pretty much all I have about it so far. I don't imagine I'll be making a third video, but if I do, it'll certainly be interesting, because this song just seems to have so much to give that I didn't really understand at first. Also, remember to tell me your preference in terms of scripted versus unscripted. I hope that this went okay. It might have been slightly, I was going to say erratic, but I don't think that's the word I'm looking for. You know what I mean. It might have been a little messy. Yeah, we'll call it messy. But I hope you enjoyed either way. I'm glad that I can finally start making videos again, even though it hasn't been that long, but it felt like a long time. So, yeah, please, I was going to say like and subscribe. I don't really usually say that, but at the same time, I realize that if people don't tell me to like and subscribe, I often don't do it. So it would be nice. Should I ask about that at the end of videos? It would be nice. Thank you.